What comes to mind when you see the word boundary?
Boundary means there's a barrier at some point, that there's positive and there's negative. There's dark and there's light. So everything there is an opposite. There has to be.
I'm Brenda Sue, and I've been a hairdresser for years, which means I hear a lot of stories. In this podcast, my clients explore a single word in each episode, not the dictionary meaning, but what the word actually means to them. Real voices, real stories, one word at a time. Welcome to Clips and Conversation. Last week, we explored the word freedom, but freedom doesn't end with having choices. It also means deciding what we'll protect. What do we say yes to? What do we say no to? And where do we draw the line? Those questions led to our next guest word, boundaries. This word feels especially personal because lately I've been looking at my own patterns more honestly. Boundaries have always been hard for me. Forgiveness comes naturally. Reconnecting does too. Even when someone has hurt me, part of me still wants to understand them, to keep the connection, to see the good in them. But somewhere along the way, I think I got confused about where compassion ends and self-abandonment begins. Because sometimes I look at people with strong boundaries and think, how do they do that so easily? And other times I wonder if I've spent too much of my life worrying about other people's feelings rather than my own. So for this episode, I wanted to ask people what boundaries are. Are they protection, distance, control, respect? And how do you know when a boundary is healthy instead of just fear in disguise? Webster's defines a boundary as a real or imagined line, limit, or edge that marks where one thing ends and another begins. It can refer to a physical dividing line between territories, a conceptual limit to a behavior, or personal rules established to protect one's emotional and physical well-being.
Well, Brenda, the first thing that comes to my mind when it comes to boundaries is sports. If you have a basketball game or a baseball game, a football game, it's all played within a set of boundaries. And it allows an event to take place that's controlled, that's exciting. But if you didn't have boundaries, when there was no end zone, there was no sideline, it'd be chaotic and you wouldn't be able to have a great sporting event. And so that's kind of the same way it is with life. We have boundaries, and if we stay within those boundaries, the things that we set either personally or in a business or whatever, I think we don't have chaos. We have organization. We have
An event.
An event that's efficient and fun and all that.
I kind of decide what my boundaries are instead of being told what my boundaries are. But I think boundaries is knowing when to back off and knowing when to not cross somebody's boundaries too. Boundaries is a lot of respect, knowing when to not take it too far with somebody. Push somebody's boundaries, exactly.
Boundaries are the ground rules that you set so that others don't drain you as a person. And it kind of keeps them responsible, kind of keeps your trust with them if they keep it. So that's what I think.
I've always been very private, person, and have guarded my own personal time, so don't let people, or don't feel obligated to participate in things and your kind of things. So, even people often invite me to do things, and just have no problem saying no, unless it's golf. Unless I want to do it, go. But if I don't, it just don't.
Have you always been that way?
Yeah.
That's good.
We all have boundaries, all of us. Everything has boundaries. One of the things about boundaries that I love is there's boundaries that will absolutely eliminate stress. And there are other boundaries that are placed there for protection in your own, but they're all emotional. They're based on your feelings, your thoughts, your attitudes about life. Much of what we consider to be boundaries, because of the particular society that we live in, is setting boundaries for other people, and you can't do that. You set them for yourself, and they adhere. Boundaries are just part of living. And whether you actually realize it or not, and do it intellectually deciding to do so, you're placing them one way or the other.
If you're not setting boundaries, you're not being true to yourself. A lot of times it's boundaries for the people closest to you, parents, family, significant other. But the biggest thing to me is people are starting to understand boundaries more than ever.
It seems like a new word in the last 10 years.
Boundaries, like if you don't know what a boundary is, how do you set them? But yeah, boundaries are healthy. If you have a problem with someone else's boundaries, it's probably a you problem that you need to look at. Be accountable, fix your issues.
Maybe boundaries aren't walls after all. Maybe they're quiet ways we teach ourselves and each other what we deserve.
So for me, boundaries are big because I've lost a bunch of weight and I want it to stay gone. So I'm learning on a daily basis what I can and can't have to eat, what I can and can't have to drink, where I can and can't miss sleep or get too much or exercise, which I hate, but have to do a little bit. I have to set boundaries for myself in that because I want to reach my goals.
And you've seen that it's worked.
And it's so working for me. But the thing I realized is so weird is I've always felt good, even when I was heavy. But those boundaries have changed.
Yes.
And I didn't realize that they really weren't there before.
First thing I thought of was watching a TV show comedy when someone was describing they had the night before a lot of Mexican food and how it upset their stomach and how they would go into detail of the consequences of that. They going into the bathroom and all the fun stuff there, and people were going, "Ooh, too much information." I think the punchline of the joke was boundaries.
Yeah,
you're sharing too much. Would you agree that sometimes maybe you can share too much?
Yeah, you can share too much, or people can get too personal and they either shut down, or I hear people change the subject all the time because they're uncomfortable with what we're talking about.
So the boundary I set was I will work just the hours that I'm allotted, that I'm going to get paid for.
Because you value your time.
Yeah, exactly. And I will not compromise my workouts because that's my time.
Right. I think sometimes just with my friendships is knowing what is expected. And I think it's important that it's communicated of what the boundaries are. We're getting very good at setting our own boundaries, but I think we're lousy at communicating those expectations to others.
That's weird because we have boundaries for our kids and they think it's punishment.
Mm-hmm.
But in the long run, I think when we all understand those boundaries are for a good reason and for safety and love, that you care for them. At the time, I don't think we understand.
Well, and sometimes it's not till they're a parent themselves.
Yeah.
But they understand that.
Oh, I see what you meant on that. Oh, I see why you were doing that.
So I feel like as a school teacher, kids love boundaries because it makes them feel safe. It makes them feel calm. It's expected. It's less chaotic. And when you express that at the beginning of the year and you follow through with that and you are consistent about those boundaries, then they know what's expected with behavior that they do. They know if I do this, this is what's going to happen.
And they test you.
And they do test you. And that's okay because the more they test you and the more the same thing happens, or the more consistent you are with those boundaries, the safer they feel.
Sometimes boundaries are choices people make every day about time, energy, health, relationships, and peace.
I think boundaries are a sense of your own protection to keep you safe, especially when they're crossed. You feel unsafe or, in a sense, violated. Just let them know, because half of the time people, if they don't know your boundaries, they don't know that they upset you.
Communication is key.
Everybody needs to set boundaries, but when you're setting them and you're in a marriage or with children, sometimes what's good for you is not good for them, and you have to soften boundaries.
Kind of get together and negotiate.
Oh, I like that. Negotiate.
Mm-hmm.
You know, this works for me. That works for you. Okay, let's find some place in the middle that works.
Yeah. And talk about it and be open and listen.
Well, and you don't want to hurt someone you love with a boundary you think you need. And so you hide behind those.
So what I think about boundaries is that the people that should know about them and how to hold them probably don't. And the people that do know about boundaries, I would say half use them well and apply them in a great way that's good for them. And then the other half use it as a way to avoid problems and just kick the can down the road instead of growing up to whatever problem they have and developing the capacity to deal with the relationship or whatever the situation is so that they're not being avoided.
Do you think they're consciously choosing that?
No, I think it's the easy way of going to homeostasis.
Yeah.
This is easy. So I'm just going to settle here and just say, oh, I can't do that. That's my boundary. If they need a boundary, I think it should be temporary for a time to where you can get yourself in a place to handle a situation or a problem. And then that boundary should go away because you can handle the problem. So I feel like boundaries should be used and applied when they're helping you to get in a good frame of mind, good emotional state to deal with the problem. But then there should come a point to where you can say, okay, this boundary needs to be adjusted. So
we're all learning about it more though now. Yeah. It's very widespread, the word and therapy. And
I just don't like it when you can tell it's a cop-out. Mm-hmm. Like, okay, you're not a victim anymore. Like, you're an adult. Like, how are you? Yeah, growth. Exactly. Growth. How are you developing your capacity to now change your situation around this so that there doesn't need to be a boundary anymore? Like, either you change the situation to where there's mutual respect or you realize that's not going to happen. And so, yeah, you just move on. And then it's not a boundary that you have to keep saying, I have to hold, because that is not in your life.
I hate boundaries. Kids think they can do whatever they want. They can talk to their parents, but the parents talk back, and whoa, boundaries. It's not good, period. That's how I feel.
Lately, it's been hard to watch someone that I admire and love as she keeps changing and moving her boundaries for someone that's unhealthy. It's hard to support someone's boundaries that aren't healthy.
So I grew up with a mother that was boundaryless. And because she was so boundaryless, without even realizing it, I became very boundaried. And I have become very protective of those boundaries with my time, my self-care, my energy. Everything I do, does it fit within my boundary? And it just gives me the light that I need to live by, kind of like a guiding star.
I'm not an empath. I think it's hard for empaths to create boundaries. I think they have a hard time giving too much of themselves to other people at their expense. You know the whole thing where people say planes going down and the masks come out and you got to put that one on yourself? Yeah. I believe in that very strongly. If I have good boundaries and if I take care of myself, I'm going to be a better partner to somebody. I'm going to be a better father. I'm going to be a better employee. That's how I make everybody else better around me as I do boundaries. And no offense if you're LDS, that's great. I was LDS for a long time, and I had a hard time saying no to things that I wanted to say no to. I wouldn't do it. I just didn't out of obligation. And sometimes that's good, and maybe those were lessons that I needed to learn, and that was helpful to me. But also, I think a lot of times I did it at my own expense or at the expense of my family. There were times putting my family on the back burner for other people, and I don't think that's right. So boundaries is very important to me, and something I'm exercising every day.
Sometimes boundaries protect us. Sometimes they isolate us. Sometimes we use them wisely, and sometimes we hide behind them.
So when I hear the word boundary, I kind of resist right off the bat. Boundaries automatically to me means there's a rule set in place. And I think as human beings, we want to be independent. We want to do what we want to do. And this sounds like someone else is coming up with something that they want to limit you to what you want to do. But I think what I've learned over time is boundaries, I want to change it to healthy boundaries, right? Great. I think that is more understandable because then it puts it back in your control. I'm choosing to do something knowing that there's a limit there that is healthy, that I can still grow, I can still experience things. It's a healthy limit. I guess the boundaries are sharper now. I think I know where to go and where not to go, and when to say something and when not to say something.
Does your body let you know too?
Oh, yeah. And I try not to think about the age thing. It's just, if you think young, I think you're going to act young and you're going to be able to do things, but your body will tell you there are some things that you're past.
So you don't fight it, you listen to it?
No, you listen to it now, but when you're younger, you don't listen to it sometimes, and that's when you get hurt or something stupid happens.
I think it takes years to
learn to listen to your body because we don't want to accept that we're getting older.
Yeah. Well, and I keep trying not to accept it.
The ones you need to step over are more your own instead of some other person. Stepping over it could either teach you a lesson, help you experience something new that you never would have if you didn't step over it. You got a strict parent. They're pretty strict, but they're also very chill. They give me a lot of freedom, but they do have boundaries of Snapchat, and very little Instagram, very little social media.
Have they explained themselves why?
With my sister's experience with it, wasn't very good.
Some boundaries are easier to set and maintain than when you're young. You're always kind of throwing out things you don't know what to say your boundaries for.
Right.
And then you find yourself in situations where you think, oh, maybe that's where I should have had a boundary.
That's how you learn them.
That's how you learn them.
It's difficult for me to sometimes know what a good boundary is because I overthink how to do it or whether it's right or whether it's wrong.
So can that just be part of the process?
Yeah, just feeling good about, yeah, this feels right, this feels good.
So it's a feeling.
Yeah. I have learned over the years that creating boundaries has helped me to be able to have a healthier relationship with my husband. And knowing that it's okay to have boundaries, it's helped me to realize that I have a voice and I have a say.
As you're well aware, I have been struggling with my oldest kid who's transgender, and that decision and the transition and everything else. I've never felt the way that she feels. Mm-hmm. So I've had to change, or I'm still working on changing my boundaries in order to have a relationship with her. I've had to go through this process of reevaluating what's my priority, to hold fast to what my beliefs are or my opinions, or have a relationship with my oldest kid.
Well, listen to you. You're respecting the right pronoun.
I'm doing my best, right? Okay. I mean, even that's hard to do. Mm-hmm. Still.
Yes.
But that's a boundary for sure.
Mm-hmm. That you're willing to
adjust.
Yeah. For the relationship.
And at some point, I had to come to a realization that some of these things that I hold on to are not consequential. So why? Why is that such a strict limit? So, yeah, boundaries.
So I just had my granddaughters over, and as we talked, I realized the boundaries that they have are far different from the ones I had when I was their age. And it was a little concerning to me. So I had a chat with them about what I felt was appropriate boundaries as far as with the guys they're dating, and them building their self-confidence and not having to give in to what they think they need to do, but they need to have their own boundaries. It seems like it's shifted. Like the girls are more forward. You're right. They were kind of active participants in being the aggressors. And I had a problem with that. So I tried to teach them the value of having boundaries, establishing boundaries, and feeling good about themselves, and that they need to stand strong for what those boundaries should be, and to think about it.
Yeah, you planted a seed.
So I planted a seed. We'll see where it goes.
Yeah. Thanks.
Right now, I'm trying to not give my adult children my idea of what they should be doing in life. They have their own minds and their own lives, and I tried to raise them to think for themselves, and now whatever they do is up to them.
You have to teach them how to think, not what to think.
I started wondering if part of the reason I kept my boundaries so loose is that I was afraid of setting them and not following through. And after listening to everyone, and with what I'm learning, some boundaries can become walls, while others are so loose, they almost disappear. Maybe healthy boundaries are somewhere in the middle. Flexible, honest, able to care about someone else without losing yourself in the process. Maybe boundaries aren't just about keeping people out. Maybe they're about not leaving ourselves. Setting a boundary is only part of the story. What happens after the line is drawn? How do we respond to ourselves and to the people on the other side of it? That's where our next word begins. Compassion. Thank you for spending time with me. Stay curious, stay open, and keep the conversation going.